So how can I now, in the face of all of that, be talking about an election in 2027? I'd be a madman to have any such presumption.
Mr. Dele Farotimi has reacted to the final judgment of the Supreme Court. Don't forget that an outgoing Supreme Court justice has come out to expose the massive corruption that is happening in our judiciary. He specifically called out the CJN on how he's managing his role. He condemned the way that the justices that handed over this judgment to Nigerians were selected. Honestly, we are in a total mess. Let me allow you listen to what Mr. Dele Farotimi got to say about the final ruling by the Supreme Court.
Mixed reactions have greeted the Supreme Court's judgment affirming Bola Tinubu as the president, winner of the presidential election that was conducted on February 23rd. Some have expressed disappointment, surprise, shock, while others have claimed victory. What's your reaction, sir?
I don't do reactions. I have absolutely no reactions.
Are you disappointed?
Of course I'm not. I expected no less from the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court did exactly as I expected that it would, and that as I announced, I don't know exactly what anyone is supposed to be reacting to.
Some Nigerians were optimistic that the Supreme Court will do the right thing. You yourself had a measure of optimism in one of your recent interviews, hoping that the Supreme Court will do the right thing.
I said, you can never rule out magic. If you notice, I said, you can never rule out magic. I didn't even use the word miracle, because if I had said miracle, we would have been based on faith. And of course, faith is substantiated, right? But in this case, I said magic, abracadabra, because I had no such illusions. So
you had no such illusions. Now, if I may ask, how does this judgment impact the political landscape of the country at this time?
it simply just told us that the law does not matter in Nigeria. It is the formal enthronement of feudal impunity in Nigeria. That is what it is. It simply means that nothing matters. Your provenance does not matter. Your character does not matter. Nothing matters. All you have to do is find a Yakubu sat at INEC, and magic can happen at INEC. And once that magic happens, the Yakubu will tell you, after announcing the result of the presidential election based on some abracadabra, he can tell you, in the middle of the night, by the way, he can simply tell you, with mind-blowing impunity, go to court. Because he knows that the court you're going to would find some reasons by which to validate the criminal actions that he has engaged in. You know, there is this funny proverb of the Yorubas. He says, "Ìlú tí kò sófin, ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ò sí níbẹ̀." You know, when you translate, it would tend to suggest that the Yoruba mindset has the capacity to envision or imagine a place ungoverned by laws. Nothing can be further from the truth. The Yorubas have very rigid systems of customs, taboos, laws, traditions, norms, cultures, multiple sets of guidelines by which we live. So the Yoruba mindset, the worldview, couldn't have been talking about a place where the law does not exist. So Ilutiko Sofin is not a place where the law does not exist. It's a place where the law does not rule. That is what the Yoruba law proverb was saying and is saying. And this is what we have now achieved as a people. There are no sins, no infractions in a place ungoverned by law. It is the impunity of men that governs such places, and that is what we have today. There is nothing I'm going to say today that I haven't said for years. But I was graciously reminded this morning of an interview I granted you years back, where I had said that as we will go through the electoral process, we will use the opportunity to awaken the Nigerian people, to let them see the commonalities of their afflictions, and that eventually the Nigerian system must resist the demand for change, and that having resisted that demand for change, it will expose itself to the people. I remember, I believe I was sat in this same chair, and you were in that same chair on the day. And I went on to tell you that by the time we would have gone through the judicial process, we would have denuded the Nigerian judiciary. That the Nigerian people will be able to see clearly that what is meant to be the last hope of the common man is completely hopeless in giving any hope to the common man. Whatever I might have had to say, I believe Justice Dattijo said everything eloquently. And God bless him. So there is really nothing left to say about that Supreme Court.
Without going into the key arguments and the technicalities, questions are being raised as to the preparation of the opposition parties themselves. I mean, I'm talking about the lawyers of the opposition party, that is the PDP lawyers and the Labour Party lawyers, in terms of their preparedness. In fact, Chief Robert Clark, SAN, said with regard to the judgment that the PDP has no point at all. They did not do their homework before coming to the court. And referring to the LP, the Labour Party never won the election on any ground. If I may ask, sir, how will you say that the opposition party lawyers were not actually prepared?
You know, the beauty of the Nigerian space is that they bring out these old men who would ordinarily have gone to their graves. And then they bring them out to help to perpetuate the narrative that they will prefer to put in the public space. So you would look at someone like that, erudite man, old wig, distinguished lawyer, and you would expect that he would speak to the truth. But of course, he will prefer that we focus on the technicalities. That is the narrative that the system, of which he has been an eminent member for decades, and we see what they have built. We see the judiciary that they have built with their lives and their exertions. So they will prefer that we have an argument about how much prepared we would have been and how much better the system would have fared if these lawyers were to be the equals of the almighty Chief Olanipeku, the one, incomparable Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, whom even the Honorable Justice Dele was waxing lyrical about, who eventually, of course, is now Honorable Attorney General. Of course, you would have had to bring this team of lawyers from where? Togo? Oh, okay, I forgot. We probably might have found such lawyers if we had gone to Ghana. And of course, we would have imported the justices from Trinidad and Tobago. Look, Justice Chief Clark can spin this all he cares. And he can speak all the Dogon Turenchi he cares to speak from now till kingdom comes. We know how justice smells, one stinks. So, please.
In your opinion, how do you think the Supreme Court's judgment will shape the perception of the judiciary's independence and integrity?
See, Gomez, you're forcing me into a section of the past. And that past is gone. The illusion of the judiciary as the last common man in Nigeria has been irredeemably lost. I said before the Supreme Court judgment that the existing constitutional order would have been destroyed by the time the Supreme Court finds the grace to legitimize the presidency of the man Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It has found the grace to do exactly that. Now, because of that singular decision or action, what has happened is that it has set multiple precedents that the system, our court system is found on the doctrine of stare decisis, the hierarchy of courts. What the Supreme Court has established are clear. The lawyers who are still in practice can distill the case law. It is an illusion to believe that the judiciary does not make law. It does make law in reality, because where there are ambiguities as to what the lawmakers might have intended, then the judiciary is required to interpret, which eventually is a way of them making law. But this is not one of those situations. This is a situation where the Supreme Court threw away multiple precedents, decisions of the same court, and where it has now set multiple precedents that it would have to begin to overturn. I don't understand exactly how it plans to deal with the mess that it has created. And frankly speaking, it's none of my business. As far as I'm concerned, it has done exactly what I had hoped that it would do. And I'm very happy that it has done so. How it resolves his mess is his own business.
Now, what implications does this judgment have for the opposition party and the political dynamics in the elections?
The fact of the matter is that we don't have a democracy any longer. The net effect, look, I don't know how many years we're going to, or months for that matter, Tinubu is going to continue to pretend that we're a democracy. I don't know how long, but I doubt that we have I doubt that we have much longer to continue the pretense of a democracy, because in reality, what we have is a court system that we do exactly as it is told. It is a court system that is found on prebendal instincts. Even the appointive processes, you can already see that it is a hereditary thing. So if your father is a Supreme Court justice, you can come into the line of succession. It's already clear that the judiciary is becoming more or less just another. In fact, it is just the same as our police, just the same as our customs service. If anybody had any illusions about who we have become, what our judiciary is, Dattijo, who just retired, I don't need to say a word any longer. Better qualified, more eminently qualified lawyers than myself, who are still in law practice, who would have to wrap their brains around the decisions of the Supreme Court. It didn't start today. You understand? Yeah. It did not start today. There is nothing. I don't want to talk about the past. They've established who they are. It used to be quite painful for me that a lot of Nigerians were still living with the illusion of a functional judiciary. But I remember that long before there was a Peter Obi, long before there was a Peter Obi, I'd been out here in the public space saying very clearly, judiciary is not different from our custom. They are not from Togo. They are Nigerians like me and you. Our mechanics cheat us. We cheat our clients. Our clients cheat us. All of us are the same. Why we've had this illusion of an angelic judiciary, I do not understand. That is the same judiciary that Buhari was busy hounding Supreme Court justices, hounded one until that one was forced to resign so that they dropped charges against him. I believe even the one that just sat on that presided over this case, it was one of those Buhari was dragging around. You have a situation where our judiciary mirrors us. It is who we are. We demand that our judiciary be different from us.
Dave, you're really painting a very gloomy picture.
I'm not painting you any picture. I'm just showing you a mirror. So all I'm doing, look.
At this point in time, what you are saying is that, just for clarification,
yes.
for clarification process, and going forward,
yes.
Looking at this precedence itself,
yes.
and the Supreme Court judge's role, how will this affect future elections disputes?
You can't have future elections. You're just lying to it. Look, I told you long before now that once the Supreme Court finds the grace to validate the selection Tinubu, the existing legal order collapses. Whether this is acceptable to people's hearing or not, I have made, look, I predict nothing. I don't predict. All I do is say the truth of what I see.
Which is quite clear. While, I mean, talking now, you mentioned the fact that you don't see any elections in the future.
How now? Sorry. Let's be clear.
Is it because
what
there are no penalties, especially for INEC?
Hold on. If I see you planting cocoa, no, let me reverse. If I was there, I saw you with your okra seedlings, and you were planting okra, it is clear to me that what you plant is what you will reap.
Yeah,
every seed reproduces after it's carried. Simply. Now, we were all here. INEC published its guidelines. Those guidelines were published pursuant to the Electoral Act. INEC promised Nigerians, it went up and down the length and breadth of Nigeria, made representations that we were going to have an election using beavers. An IREF. And now, the Supreme Court just said what INEC promised and whatever it cares to do does not matter. So, what am I supposed? So now, this man who was in power in Lagos State effectively owned Lagos State for 24 years, under whose hegemony in Lagos State, nothing passes without approval, has now been given control over a country where institutions have been completely compromised. Poverty has been completely weaponized. Ignorance has acquired atomic grade weaponization. You are now talking about an election in 2027. How citizens elect people into office? Citizens. Citizenship is suggestive of the rule of law. The Supreme Court just told us that the law does not mean I had no illusions, and I had made that position clear. But for those who still had illusions, we've just been told resoundingly that it doesn't matter, nothing matters.
Court justices that retired yesterday, Musa Mohammed, exposed what is going on in our judiciary, and he also said that the judgment of the Supreme Court concerning the election was not correct, that it was based on technicalities. He exposed what is happening in our Nigeria's judiciary and how our judiciary is already corrupt. corrupt. I will be giving us details on this and how people have been reacting to this. But before we go fully into this, I would like us to please do well to like this video and also do well to subscribe to our channel if you are yet to subscribe, so you get updates whenever we post a new video. See the way Sahara reporters reported what the Supreme Court judge said. They said Supreme Court panel which had Atiku, Peter Obi's appeal against Tinubu was not well constituted, retiring Justice Musa Mohammed. A retiring justice of the Supreme Court, Musa Dattijo Mohammed, has said that the 7-man panel that dismissed all the appeals that sought to remove President Tinubu from office was not well constituted, as it did not have members from all the geopolitical zones of the country. The retiring justice also said that the office of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, had enormous powers, and such powers must be reduced to prevent abuse of office. The Supreme Court panel on Thursday had dismissed appeals by Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) and Peter Obi of the Labour Party, and affirmed the victory of Bola Tinubu as Nigerian president to the mixed reactions of Nigerians. Meanwhile, Justice Mohammed, who spent 47 years in active judicial service, bowed out of the Apex Court bench on Friday, having clocked the 70 years mandatory retirement age. He used the opportunity of a valedictory section that was organized in his honor by the Supreme Court to address what he observed as rots in the judiciary that had continued to affect justice delivery system in the country. He said, "Through the years, I rose to become the second most senior justice of the country's Apex Court and deputy chairperson of the National Judicial Council. Considering the number of years I have spent in the judicial service and the position I have attained by the grace of the Almighty, I feel obligated to continue the struggle for reforms for a better judiciary, and will be leaning on the earlier submissions of those who had exited before me," Justice Mohammed stated before he descended on the CJN. He maintained that the judiciary, as presently structured, gave so much power to the CJN, who he said usually take decisions without consulting other justices. As presently structured, the CJN is the chairman of the NJC, which oversees both the appointment and discipline of judges. He is equally chair of the Federal Judicial Service Commission (FJSC), the National Judicial Institute (NJI), the Legal Practitioners Privileges Committee (LPPC) that appoints senior advocates of Nigeria. In my considered opinion, the oversight functions of these bodies should not rest on an individual alone. A person with absolute powers, it is said, corrupts easily and absolutely. As chair of NJC, FJSC, NJI, and LPPC, appointments as council, board, and commitment members are at his pleasure. He neither confers with fellow justices nor seek their counsel or impute on any matter related to these bodies. He has both the final and the only say. The CJN has power to appoint 80% of members of the council and 60% of members of the FJSC. The same applies to NJI and LPPC. Such enormous powers are effortlessly abused. This needs to change. Continued denial of the existence of this threatening anomaly weakens effective judicial oversight in the country. He added, on the current composition of the bench of the Apex Court, Justice Mohammed alleged that the refusal to fill the vacant slot of Southeast on the Apex Court bench was deliberate, blaming it on absolute powers vested in the office of the CJN. So this is what he's saying. He's saying that giving such absolute power to the CJN and giving him authority to do whatever he likes has in turn spoilt our judiciary, and also the way the judges was constituted for the case between Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar against President Bola Tinubu, that it was poorly done, which is why they did not give the right judgment. Reacting to what Justice Musa said on X, this person here said Justice Musa Dattijo's revelation on corruption in the judiciary gives a clue that the October 26 judgment may have been a procured product. 1. Justice Musa Dattijo, JSC, retired, exposed on the enormous and near unbridled powers of the CJN, who incidentally is a very close ally of Mr. Bola Tinubu. It can no longer be effectively argued that although the CJN rescued himself from the 7-justice panel for the presidential election petition appeal for conflict of interest, he had almost a near absolute influence on what became the judgment given on October 26, 2023. 2. Civil society organization should quickly host the retired Justice Dattijo to public seminar to interact with him to find out more about the roles of the CJN since inception in procured judgments in the court, including the Lawan and Uzodinma cases, among others, and more importantly, the presidential election petition appeal judgments. 3. I have maintained that asking Nigerians to move on after the technicalities judgment of the 7-justices panel of the Supreme Court that decided that Bola Ahmed Tinubu remains the validly elected president of Nigeria is most unpatriotic. 4. It is most saddening that senior lawyers and journalists, especially those loyal to Tinubu, will come to national television and defend the thoughtless judgment of the Supreme Court that ultimately made a mess of the over 400 billion naira spent and 70 plus human lives lost during the 2023 general election. Listening to Chief Robert Clark defend that judgment, blaming lapses on the petitioner's lawyers and the likes of Reuben Abati, speak with shallow authority that law is kilometers and kilometers away from emotions, so that those that speak against truth, while putting on a cloak of emotions and sentiments don't matter in law, often exhibit deadlier emotions and sentiments for whatever interest they wish to defend, covertly or overtly. So this is what this person here he's saying. He's saying that what the justice said yesterday when he was retiring shows clearly that indeed what the judges gave to Nigerians as their judgment in the Supreme Court was nothing but false judgment, because it just shows that all they did was that they gave their judgment based on technicalities, not based on the law before them. Reacting to this also, this person here said, we all know that, but we are handicapped, and this is it. Nigerians know the truth. We know what the Supreme Court did in their judgment. We know that they failed Nigerians, just like this retiring judge said, but we cannot do anything at this point in time because, like we know, the Supreme Court is the apex court of the nation. There's no other place to run to except we want to go to international communities, but most times they don't even have much to do in this case, because it was the privilege given to the Supreme Court to do the right thing, but they failed Nigerians. Another person here said every right thinking person knows the truth, glaring facts, but why is he voicing out now? Why has he been silent all these years? Or he just began to notice the rot today? And this is another side of the story. Why has he been silent all along? He would have spoken up since, even before his retirement and even before the judgment from the Supreme Court. Yet he kept quiet until he's leaving the judiciary, before he's opening up to say that there's a lot of rot in the system. Another person here also reacted and said, we all know what played out: a corrupt institution with zero integrity to the highest level. In this my early 30s, I will tell my children how men in their 60s, 50s and 70s destroyed Nigeria in the face of the young people. The Nigerian judiciary I am exiting from today is far from the one I voluntarily joined and desired to serve and be identified with. The institution has become corrupt and turned into something else. Justice Musa, so this person is quoting what he said. Another person here also reacted and said, the whole Nigerian institution is currently under a state capture. Rufai Oseni here also reacted and said, Justice Musa don break table, but some people say public morality don't matter. They say law is law. Now a justice of the Supreme Court is now questioning the law applied by the courts in the case of Imo and Lawal. Isn't it time for the Supreme Court to review those cases just like they did in the Amechi case? And this is it. Even the presidential election case, they have to review it, because this one, someone who is working with you, who is also a judge of the Supreme Court, have come out to say what you people did was based on technicalities. You don't have any other hideout. You just have to do the right thing and apologize to Nigerians too. This person here also reacted and said, this is the result of a pocketed judiciary by the bagmen. When you hear law is not emotion, you wonder if the law was not written by humans full of emotions in the first place. This person here also reacted and said, there is nothing supreme about the Nigeria judiciary system. It's time for our inferior courts to review those cases instead. Our inferior courts, we then not still dance to the tune of the Supreme Court. They cannot do anything. Like what we saw in the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, they are the lower court, but they still gave Nigerians injustice, and the Supreme Court stamped what they did. So all of them are corrupt. Our judiciary in Nigeria is already very corrupt. This person here also reacted and said, the Nigerian political system goes like this. The more you look, the more you see, but there is nothing you can do about it. The judiciary has lost its conscience. Another person here said, those criminals don't have conscience. Also reacting to this person here said, is a complete state capture by Amuda and APC. Growing up, I used to have so much admiration, this type of respect that is mixed with fear, admiration and honor anytime I see someone wearing this colonial wig. Because of one man that was shouting, it's my turn, they decided to destroy everything we held sacred in Nigeria. Now I look at them like all bunch of clowns. Like, how can you be wearing that colonial wig in the first place? They want to copy everything from a white man, except actually delivering real judgment. Bunch of old corrupt colonial wig wearing masquerades that only show their power to the common man, that they are meant to be the last hope of. And this is it. They only show their power to the common man when an innocent man is being accused falsely in Nigeria, who is poor, who is broke. We'll see the way they will fight and ensure that that person goes to jail. But politicians who are rigging elections, politicians who deserve to be behind bars, are freely working and destroying our nation, yet they can't do anything according to the law of the land. And these are the people that are supposed to be the last hope of the common man. Another person here also reacted and said, how can judges being paddy with government deliver fair judgment? Camel go first pass eye of needle before they deliver judgment against their friend. And this is it. This person here also said, God bless you, retired Honorable Justice Dattijo Mohammed, JSC, for standing out. Posterity will judge you fairly. We won't forget. This person here also reacted and said, you people continue to loot our commonwealth in the name of corruption and politics. No wonder good man cannot be the president of Nigeria. So the looting will continue. Justice Musa Dattijo Mohammedi, in his valedictory speech, made references to the judgment of the Supreme Court on Imo gubernatorial election and the one in favor of Senator Lawan. The fact that the retired justice spoke so intensely about the decay in the judiciary should make any serious country to have a conversation about it. You can feel his pain. Very sad man. He said he didn't want a valedictory section in his honor. He said he wanted to exit quietly, but his family prevailed on him to accept it, as rejecting it would be defeating. He said the judiciary he is exiting from is not the same judiciary he wanted to identify with when he joined the bench. He spoke about corruption and nepotism, among other issues. And this is coming from popular lawyer F. Young. So this is it. And indeed, it's actually very painful that you come to meet corruption in a system that you usually adore, a system you thought was a place that the right thing will be done, and when you join it, you see corruption, just like this retiring justice pointed out. This person here also reacted and said, the veil of justice have been torn, her skill destroyed, her sword of truth is now blunt. She's terrified because evil keeps defeating her in Nigeria. Courtesy to her associates, she has been exposed, tried and conquered in a fight led by Tinubu and his predecessors. Another person here also reacted and said, Buhari, Tinubu and the APC destroyed every institution in Nigeria, be it the judiciary, CBN or DSS, just name it. The CJN hailed Makinde and Wike's group and praised them for their integrity. Very terrible. And this is it. The APC has successfully destroyed these institutions in Nigeria. How can the CJN be political? Someone who is supposed to have a blind eye, someone who is not supposed to be concerned about what is happening in politics, have these politicians as his friends, how will he be able to give us justice? How will he be able to give Nigerians justice? In this case, he will favor his friend. And this is what we are talking about, checking out our law, because having the president appoint these people is not helping our nation in any way. This person here also reacted and said, who will save the judiciary? It is definitely a legitimate question to raise, but I doubt any of us have the best answer. You are a lawyer and a prominent one, and you have a grasp of where the challenges are. A good way to start the reform is to draw the attention of the public to their corrupt practices, advocate for adequate support for the judiciary, and press charges against them in cases where there is a clear evidence of corruption, if technically possible. And this is one way we can help and save our judiciary, especially for lawyers, especially for those who are in the system. When you see people who are engaged in corruption, you call them out just the way this man just did. Another person here also reacted and said, I think they knew about his speech, reason why they rushed the judgment a day before the speech to prevent the harm it would cause if they still go ahead with their dishonest judgment. Justice Musa Dattijo Mohammed has confirmed the corruption in the judiciary. Those calling us names that we are spreading false news and lying about the judiciary should be ashamed of themselves. And this is it. At this point in time, what he just said now shows what is happening in the judiciary. The Nigerians, so many Nigerians who are lamenting on the internet and who are exposing them on the internet are actually saying the truth. They are not lying. They are not trying to spoil their image, but they are saying what is happening. And this person here also reacted and said, please don't crucify him for telling us exactly what we have long known. Maybe he didn't partake in their shady deals. Maybe he was sidelined for being different. Perhaps he is speaking the truth now, knowing that he has nothing to lose anymore. It would have been better appreciated. So this is what this person is saying to Nigerians who are insulting him for speaking up now that he is retiring. And this person here is saying that he should not be insulted because you don't know, maybe he was not part of the team but had to keep quiet for his own safety and all of that. But we are still appreciative because this will in turn show to everyone and the world at large that what they did was just that they gave Nigerians their judgment based on technicalities, and it is obvious that justice was not served in this case. And it is good because it is exposing more and more the evils that are going on in our judiciary. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. Please do also share your thoughts about the video in the comment section. please do well to like this video and please do well to subscribe to our channel if you are yet to subscribe, so you get updates whenever we post a new video.